This video is all about how you turn this into this. As you can see, I've cut the rest of the body off of here, gone, but I figured out a way to make brackets and mount this on the front. This headlight is used to be here on the tender right there, but I liked it here better, and I used the headlight from here on my Astor locomotive. The tops right here on each side are right there. This water fill looking thing is shaved on the sides and put right here. Hand railings that were down the front, I drilled holes and put there. The bell was on top of the locomotive here. And this piece, whatever that is, was on top of here. And so this is where you put the oil in, if you're a real locomotive, and the water over here. This whole assembly used to be right here. This fuel tank used to be inside here and had a double shell around it. I cut away the double shell. Part of it up and under there is a bracket to screw onto the locomotive, and the other part, you probably can't see this, is under here with these screws screwing this on. This is a piece of metal that I salvaged from something else. And these handrails here are bent, rebent ones that used to run and cut, that used to run up and down here. I never liked the look of that slopey tender. I thought it kind of looked dumpy, and the big, heavy sort of plastic here made this locomotive look a little too toy-like for my tastes. So in a previous YouTube video, I showed how I took out the radio control because it was crap, and I built this in here to control the locomotive with, because you couldn't otherwise control it if your radio didn't work, and half the time it didn't. And so yeah, lots of modifications, lots of work. So the tender used to come out to about here, and down the front was this faux wooden looking bulkhead, which I've taken parts of and cut and put on either side there. So I like that. Another thing about this locomotive that wasn't very good was it was always top heavy. The cylinders are heavy, so there was a lot of weight on the forward drivers, not a lot of weight on the rear. And now I've balanced it with the tank there. It balances the weight a little better. That is not the original bell. The original bell was this weird plastic thing. This is a Christmas decoration bell. It's actually got a little dinger in it. But because it's metal, even though it's a cheap Christmas jiggy jog thing, it looks better. This is not the original smokestack. This is a piece of copper pipe that I crowned and I cut and put in there because the original plastic one for some reason melted to the inner metal lining really badly one time for no apparent reason. So I've taken a locomotive, which a lot of people have derided as not very good, but it was my introduction to steam 10 years ago. This represents the first time I will be trying my newly rebuilt locomotive, and we'll see how that goes. I'm pulling my upgraded, repainted, reworked Bachmann passenger cars, my Aristo-Craft stock car, which I just now scraped off the Santa Fe logo and put on CN for Canadian Northern, and my heavily reworked and repainted caboose. There it is. All in all, that was a very satisfactory run. The only thing is the timing. When you hear the ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, it should be tit, 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 tit. So the timing of the valves in the cylinders is off a little bit, so I'll have to adjust that. I've had this locomotive since 2010, and now I can say I'm fully pleased with it. The locomotive is nice and hot to the touch after the run, which is as it should be, of course, being as it's live steam. One thing that this locomotive never came with was insulation around the boiler. Real full-size steam locomotives have the boiler, and then there's a layer of insulation, and then there's an outer shell. This Aristo-Craft locomotive, in fact, between this outer shell and the boiler inside, is a layer of insulation. And in fact, this locomotive is just old enough that the insulation used inside of here is asbestos. Now, you can get ceramic lagging, and what I'll do is I'll buy the ceramic sheet. It's a sort of a woven ceramic material. It's high-tech, and it's very thin. I'll wrap it around the boiler and put a thin sheet of metal over that. It'll more evenly match this height here, and it'll look a little better. Plus, I'll be able to operate this locomotive in colder weather, which I never could operate it really in colder weather because there was a loose plastic thing on the outside. There was no real actual insulation. So that'll improve things greatly.